Hey Joey, it is May 3rd. I'm running a little bit behind, but this is all of the books I read in April. Spoiler alert, it's not that many. I don't have all of them here because I'm moving, kind of, and will continue to be moving for the next like 2.5 weeks. And for the 4 weeks before this, aka April, I've been in the process of buying a house, which is why I have not been reading as much, because I've been in like a constant state of terror. So the terror is mostly gone. I successfully completed a book yesterday, May 2nd, so we're off to a good start. And I have this as a sneak peek into what I will be reading next. Can't wait. So without further ado, I suppose, let's get into it. For the books that I don't, well, just kind of in general because I wanted to show it off. Could I finish a sentence? I have this here with me. This is my Granny Square book blanket, which you might have seen previously. I do not recall. But because I don't have all the books with me, because half of my books are packed away, and I only packed away books that I have read, and if I have multiple by the same author, if I have read all of the books by that author. So that included like half of the books that I read this month. So I'm going to be using this as a sort of visual device to help me understand what's going on. The first book I read in April was Our Infinite Fates, which I'll put the covers up here, but that's what this square is for, is Our Infinite Fates. I have the Owl Crate cover, so that if you know what the regular cover looks like, it doesn't look like that. So this is a standalone sort of magical realism moment that follows our main character, who has like lived 1 million or something, an infinite number of lifetimes, and every time she is like killed before her 18th birthday by the same person who has also like followed her through these lifetimes. And in this lifetime that we're seeing past lifetimes, like it's like half current timeline and then half different other timelines is the way that it's sort of structured. But in this current timeline, she needs to live past her 18th birthday because her sister needs a bone marrow transplant, some sort of like donation from our main character in order to survive, or like have any chance to survive the cancer that she is dealing with. So like our main character is like, I need to live past my 18th birthday because I need to do this transplant for my sister. So we're following our main character, and she needs to live past 18 to do this transplant for her sister, and so she's trying to figure out who in her life is actually this other entity who's been killing her before her birthday every year. So we're getting past timelines of like other times when they have met and she has perished, and then in her current timeline she's trying to figure out why she's cursed to die over and over again, and why this person is hunting her, and like how she can fix it so that she can survive and do this transplant for her sister. I enjoyed this quite a bit. I gave it 4.5 stars. I would recommend it. The next book that I read in April was one of my very highly anticipated May releases, and it was Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I love Abby Jimenez. This is following Samantha, who is sort of, I would say, grieving the like experience of her mom having dementia, Alzheimer's sort of thing. She lives like across the country from where her mom lives. When we start this book, she's in Minneapolis, and they find out that for some reason she's going home. I think just because it's finally like caught up to her that she is missing out on this like time with her mom, and that her like she's like finding out via her siblings that like her mom doesn't remember who she is, that kind of thing. She's like going through that sort of like situation. And the night before she leaves to fly home to California, she goes on this like really awesome date with her veterinarian, Xavier. I love Abby Jimenez's writing. I love the way that her people are people. However, in the first like 3 chapters of this book, 3 different people compare Xavier to Rhysand. And if you know how I feel about Rhys, it was a struggle to push past that. I chose to ignore it. I chose to believe that he looks like Adam Driver. I don't know what he's supposed to look like because I blocked it out, and he looks like Adam Driver. He's one of 2 Adam Driver lookalikes in this month's wrap-up, and I was having a great time, okay? So, she goes on this amazing date. He is like, oh my god, I can't believe that, like, we met and are hanging out. He was, like, a really big meanie to her as her veterinarian, and then he, like, redeemed himself, and they went on this date. It was great. But so she's moving. She's moving to California, and, like, they try to do this, like, long distance thing. Stuff gets crazy. He tries to, like, change his life for her, and then she tries to change, and then at one point, like, nope, that's kind of a spoiler, you should experience that on your own, but it was so lovely, and it has the, like, sort of through point of, like, dealing with a parent who, like, needs memory care, that sort of thing. I just love Abby Jimenez's books, and even though we had 3 Rhysand mentions, I still gave it 5 stars. It was so good. Loved it. Next up, I actually have this one. Didn't pack it away. Sunrise on the Reaping. Suzanne. Should I explain to you what the plot of this is? I don't think so. If you're, like, living on planet Earth and you don't know what the plot of Sunrise on the Reaping is, it's a Hunger Games novel, so there's a Hunger Games in it, and we're following Haymitch, and it's devastating, and there's, like, a heavy, like, underpinning of propaganda and revolution, and it really, you know, they say she only writes something when she has something to write, and she sure had something to write. So that was 5 stars, obviously. Then, in an attempt to break free of that trauma, I read Ever After Always by Chloe Leese. This is book 3 in the Bergman Brothers novels. This is a Bergman Sisters, though, because it's following Freya, the Bergman sister, and Aiden, her husband. This is a marriage in crisis novel, but they both made me kind of angry. Aiden deals with a lot of anxiety, and is like trying to do this new business venture so he can set him and his wife up for, like, their future family, except because of his anxiety, he, like, wasn't sharing what he was doing with his wife. And so, like, because he grew up without a lot of money, she grew up with money, so he felt like she wouldn't, like, understand. And then, like, he, like, completely broke down the intimacy between them because he was, like, so anxious about everything, and they were supposed to be trying for a baby, and then he didn't tell her that, like, sent him into this tailspin, trying to, like, make as much money as possible. He, like, wasn't willing to accept the village, and I was like, I know that anxiety is different for everyone. I know that I have anxiety. I get it. Sometimes I don't want to ask for help because, like, it seems, like, embarrassing or whatever. But he was told literally every chapter for the whole book, hey, we're here to help you. We want to help you. Just tell us how we can help you. And I feel like at some point he could have just accepted help. And so he was making me angry. And then Freya, also, I've never had my partner distance from me in the way that Aiden distanced from her, but I'm less mad at her because I don't know what that experience is like, but there was a little bit of like, she also wasn't communicating. Basically, neither of them were communicating with each other, and I think that that is like the biggest thing you need to do in your relationship is communicate with your partner. And so it just like, I also think it took me too long to read, and so I was like, that sort of threw me off, which is obviously not the book's fault, but it certainly was not my favorite Chloe Leese nor my favorite Bergman Brothers books. I gave it 3.75 stars. Yeah. Next up, oh, I guess this is the square for that, and this is the square for Sunrise on the Reaping. I forgot that I was supposed to be also showing you these because I was holding the books. Next up for this square is Mrs. Nash's Ashes by Sarah Adler. This was recommended to me via TikTok a year ago, at least. And I bought it literally 2 days after I saw the TikTok recommending it, and then I left it on my shelf forever. I think I was worried it was going to be really sad, and it just kind of isn't. Our main character, Millicent, is like, has sort of semi-recently gotten out of a sort of toxic relationship and moved in with her noctogenarian, I think. Like, yeah, has to be. Noctogenarian neighbor. And, like, lived with her through the end of her life, and then she passed on. And while she was living with her, she learned Mrs. Nash's story, and that she was in the army? Were they in the army? I just read The Women, and so I feel like my understanding, like I'm kind of mooshed. But that her neighbor, Mrs. Nash, once spent some time in Florida with, they had to have been in the army, with another woman, and that she had this, like, love, and then Mrs. Nash thought that she lost her love to the war, like that she had been KIA. So, after she passes, Millie finds out that that woman is in fact still alive and living in Florida. And so she knows that time is of the essence because these women are obviously the same age. She doesn't want to miss out on this opportunity, so she takes the letters that Mrs. Nash had written to, I wish I could remember her name. I don't remember the other woman's name. But so she wants to bring some ashes and some letters, to this woman and sort of tell her that Mrs. Nash had been thinking about her all these years and that, like, she just wants to meet this woman. So she is trying to fly from DC to Key West, Florida. Travel plans go awry. She sees this guy at the airport who is, like, a peer of her ex-boyfriend. They, like, bicker. They go their separate ways, and then it turns out that because flights are canceled and whatever, he's going to nearly the same place as her, and they end up in a car together, road tripping from DC to Key West. And they obviously fall in love along the way. This is a romance. I love quick stories like that, like where the timeline, like they drove for like 3 days and then were like in love, but I love when that happens because they already kind of know each other. He has been pining after her since he met her 2 years ago at a thing she was at with her ex. I don't know why, but I eat that up every time. The idea that he's been, like, secretly thinking about her for years, I love that. And I was sort of, like, picking up on the crumbs of, like, he knows more about her than he's letting on. Because he tried to pretend that he didn't really know who she was at all. This was so good. I think I gave it 5 stars. I don't remember. No, I gave it 4.75 stars. Yeah. I can't tell you what made me drop it 0.25 stars, but I trust past me that that's what I gave it. So that was that. And then next up, this square is not my best match, honestly, but this is Firekeeper's Daughter. Firekeeper's Daughter? Does it match? I don't know. This is so good. This is following Donis. She goes through so much. She ends up as a CI for the FBI, trying to figure out, like, what's happening, like, what has caused the increase in drug use and drug overdose in her community, while also, like, being like figuring out what she's gonna do after high school, figuring out like what's going on with her family, trying to like hold everything together, while also like the book itself covers a lot of like the sort of injustices that Indigenous people in America and Canada face. This is technically the first one. It's not a series, but like I read Warrior Girl Unearthed, which is following Donis's nieces. So like this one technically is timeline first. So there was a little bit of stuff that I already knew was going to happen because I had read that one. So I would recommend reading this one before that one if you're going to read these two, and I think you should. They're so good. This was a 5-star. Then, next up, again I packed it in a box, is Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage. This was another one of my deeply anticipated May reads. This is following Cam and Dusty, and it is a second chance romance, single mom, runaway bride. Cam, the book opens up with Cam running away from her wedding because she's supposed to get married to this guy, and he basically stands her up because they were not in an arranged marriage, but they were both only going to get married because it would like help their parents. So it was that kind of like business relationship sort of deal. And so she runs away from her wedding, and then like the only person who can get her out of the bathroom she is hiding in is her ex-high school boyfriend, Dusty. And Dusty and her have so much history, and they have basically not spoken to each other in years because Dusty has been traveling, doing odd jobs, working at ranches, learning, doing whatever, living his life, and Cam is a lawyer and has been doing that and being just the best mom to Riley. Love her to bits. And so we just get to watch them like start to speak to each other again, and then start to hang out more, and then start to rekindle, and then fall in love. I love Lila Sage's books so much. This was a 5-star, in case that wasn't clear. I think every book in this series has been a 5-star. I don't know if Done and Dusted was a 5-star. I don't remember what I rated that, but I have loved every single one of these. I can't wait for her new book. Yes. Next up. I don't know where this is. I didn't think I had packed it away because it's the only book I have by this author, so maybe that's why I did, but it's not like a new book comes out soon, but maybe it doesn't come out soon enough. Anyway, it was Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. I got the arc for Heartstrings, which is book 2 in this like interconnected series, and so I knew I needed to read Morbidly Yours. So this is following our female main character who, for a reason I don't exactly remember, just like up and leaves her life in Austin, Texas. Maybe not Austin, but from Texas, and moves to Ireland. And she moves into this little cutie apartment on this cute little street, and she thinks that next door is a like bed and breakfast. She gets a package meant for that address. She gets a package meant for that address, and it's body bags. And so she takes it over to her neighbor thinking like they must have some other use for this, whatever, and then finds out that next door is a funeral home. And a nice handsome man who dresses like an old Englishman, like vests, waistcoats, all of it, is the proprietor of that institution. And so they're neighbors, so it's like a forced proximity situation. He has in his like grandfather's will that he has to get married before 30, 35, some age that he is rapidly approaching, or he loses the business to his father, who wants nothing to do with it and is just gonna sell it off and make it no longer a family business. She thinks he wants one thing, he thinks she wants one thing, and actually they both want the same thing, and it's to be in love and live in Ireland. So it was so cute. I liked it so much, I can't wait to read the second one. Next up, The Great BBL another one of my highly anticipated April releases. I love Emily Henry's books so much, and I love this one so much. I said this in my Goodreads review. As a lover of the celebrity memoir genre, a lover of mysteries, and a lover of romance, this is like the perfect book for me. I have heard all the slander. Well, actually, that's not true. I have seen that there is slander, and I've scrolled directly past it because I do not care. I understand why this genre of book wouldn't be for everyone, because it is not just... It is a romance. Do not get me wrong. Don't let anyone tell you that Emily Henry doesn't write romance. This is a romance, and I ate it up. And this man looks like Adam Driver. But, all of that to say, I loved it so much. This is following Alice and Hayden. Alice and Hayden. They are both, like, basically interviewing with this former child of a rich person. She didn't really, like, she was just a socialite, I guess. A former socialite who is, like, preparing to write a tell-all novel about her life, but she is deciding between these two who's gonna write it. And there's a lot more to it than that, but that is, like, the premise that'll get you in. And the lady lives on this, like, tiny little island, so these two, in their off time, keep running into each other, and it just, like, they're both really tall. Love that. But I think that this has made it into my top 3 Emily Henry books. Am I prepared to share that with the internet right now? I think so. My favorite is Happy Place. I don't think anything could ever top Happy Place. Maybe if I reread them, they would get reordered. But the way that I felt when I read Happy Place for the first time is not an experience I have felt maybe ever since then, or before then. So Happy Place is number 1. Who do I think is 2, though? Actually, you know what? 1 is Happy Place. 2 is The Great BBL. Sue me! I'm only giving you my top 3 because actually what then becomes the bottom 1 is gonna get me cancelled. And I'm not prepared to get cancelled before I even get opened. So, Happy Place, GBBL, book lovers? I don't know. I think I need to reread them, but I was gonna reread them when the Funny Story paperback came out, because then I had all the paperbacks. But then, very swiftly after, GBBL came out, and so now I have to wait for it to come out in hardcover or in paperback, and then the whole cycle's gonna start over and over again. So anyway, that is the 9 books that I read in April. Somehow this video about 9 books is longer than my last one about 13. I don't know. But, oh, here's the square for GBBL. And funnily enough, here is the square for Promise Me Sunshine, my top March book. And GBBL is my top April book. I think. I had a lot of 5 stars in April, so I don't know. But I just thought that was funny that they ended up being the exact same. So this is my blanket so far. I'm hoping it grows a great deal in May, June, and July, because otherwise it is not going to be blanket sized. So I will hopefully see you before next month's wrap up. Hopefully I will have, like, putting up my bookshelves in my new home or something, or maybe a reading vlog, hoping to read Indigo Spell, the next Bloodlines book, this month. I was going to do it last month, but then I realized I hadn't really, it was going to be like one video after another. So for everyone who is not Joey and doesn't actually want to watch those videos, I wanted to give the people what they want. Who do I think I am? Anyway, if you're not Joey and you're not subscribed, feel free to do so. I will try and be better about posting more frequently. Bye.